Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Steven Elliott on the line, and he's Senior Director of Business Development over Performance Marketing over at Branded Entertainment Network. Steven, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Adam. It's great to be here.
So I'm excited to get into what you're doing over at Branded Entertainment Network, but before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started in your career in business?
Yeah, so I would say it all began with my childhood. I still remember very clearly the age of 9. We were living in a small town called Ponca City, Oklahoma, and my father sat us all down. We were wondering what was going on, and he showed us pictures of a jungle, and he said, hey, this is where we're going to be moving, and it was a crude oil project in Venezuela that he was leading. And at that time, it just really had me fascinated about the idea of to take an idea and then to turn it into something. And at that time, there was no company really down there, so he went out and we moved to Venezuela, initially to Caracas, so a big city, and then we spent about 5 years after that in a very small town that we saw essentially double in size as other international oil companies went there. And I remember seeing something that went from idea to then hundreds, if not thousands of acres of land, completely repurposed, and then crude oil flowing out of the ground, and just seeing something built and being fascinated that you can think about something and then you can execute on it, and seeing the geopolitical issues that my father had to overcome and the home life that he was able to do. I was always fascinated with the idea of business, and to take that childhood, and then as I was able to then go through university and I actually served a 2-year mission for my church, and to go out and experience the world like that at a very young age, I had this innate passion that I want to learn as much as I can about business. And my path's been a little bit different than most. I actually dropped out of university as I saw my individual path had hit a tipping point where I felt, okay, at this time I've learned what I need to. I want to go out and get started. And along that journey, Adam, I had a couple unique experiences. I studied finance and accounting, had a real love for that, but then to pay for school, I took up a summer sales job, and so I fell in love with sales, had accounting, had finance, and then I realized, okay, well, I need operations, and then eventually where I'm at now is wanting to really become an expert in marketing. And so from there, I would say my journey really took a great path in 2012 when the board of a solar company reached out to me and asked me to go out on the East Coast and start up a residential solar company that after 3 years, we were the number 1 ranked residential solar installer by consumers, and had triple-digit growth year over year, and eventually was able to make my way here to then.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think that's a great transition. Let's go a little bit further into BEN, which stands for Branded Entertainment Network. So tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Yes, so very unique company. I love the fact that hyper-focus on systems, processes, and now technology, as we're an AI company that focuses on getting brands inside of content. And it's a unique merger of 2 wonderful companies. One was called Plaid Social, that was actually merged into another agency about 5 years ago, Norm Marshall and Associates. So you have an influencer marketing agency that was very data-driven, systems, processes focused, with a product placement brand that was also started by a pioneer in the space. And so you have 2 pioneer companies coming together, as now our current CEO's vision has been that the future of advertising is being inside of content. And with there being more content than ever, a massive investment into technology, into AI happened years ago. That was the vision of, again, our current CEO, Ricky Ray, that has now yielded tremendous results where you have consumers investing ever more in ad skipping or ad blocking technology. Actually, now I look at even my 4-year-old, she's annoyed that sometimes an ad will pop up. She wants to watch and consume the content. Now, what we're after is finding ways to really authentically integrate brands into the content so it empowers the content. And it's really fun to see. It's fun to speak with brands, with the content creators. And when you have these moments where an example I like to share is a little bit classic, but it's one that a lot of people know is Bumblebee being scripted as a Ford Mustang, but then now we know Bumblebee was a Chevy Camaro, and seeing how the firm was able to create that was something that really drew me. And then seeing the vision of Branded Entertainment right now as being an AI company to help brands know which content to be inside and to really align then with their audience and have their brand empower the content, so that way for us, the end consumers, we're excited that the content has been empowered by a brand that we have an affinity with, and then therefore we go act and align ourselves with.
Wow, that's amazing. And the one that got me was, I think it was the last Spider-Man movie that came on. And I was driving down, I don't even remember, the Beverly Center had this big, this huge billboard, like side of a building type thing. And they have the Spider-Man was wearing Nikes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know Spider-Man wore Nikes. That's how he could jump so high. No, I'm just playing. But to see Spider-Man wearing Nikes, I'm like, oh my gosh, what an amazing, like, native ad. Like, that's just to the, I don't even know what degree we could say in terms of that, because obviously as adults we see that and we know what they're doing. Okay, Nike's advertising, but if you're a kid looking at that, watching like Spider-Man wear Nikes, what kind of shoes do you want to wear? I'm guessing you're going to want those Nikes because that's how Spider-Man's doing it. I'm in. Man, I love that, and I love the backstory. I love what you're doing over at Ben. I want to go into a little bit into the concept of techno-optimist and what that means to you.
Yeah, so I mean, part of the culture here at Ben is fascinating, and one is that continuous development of oneself and one's career. And last year, my boss invited me to a conference where Steve Wozniak was speaking, and he really hit on the idea of him being a techno-optimist. And every day I'm speaking with marketers, and some of them at startup companies, some at some of the largest brands in the world. And when you hear AI, typical reactions happen, and one that seems to be a little bit more prevalent is almost a block of, oh, AI, I already know that, and some people almost reject it, that maybe out of fear of taking their job or a fear of not having control. It's all data driven, and so when I look at that and really understanding, well, this is technology, and we would want to use technology to enhance our lives. And to kind of tie back to my upbringing in Venezuela, you go back maybe 40 years ago, and my father also, he was a military brat. He lived all over, yet he had lost a lot of connection with his friends that he had growing over. I recently had an incredible experience that after essentially 17 years of not physically seeing somebody, was invited through text by a friend, his name's Jordan, to go to a house party that was about half mile down the street where we live at here in LA. And because of Facebook and because of other technology, we were able to immediately embrace and have this great connection. He already knew about my daughters, my wife, and just everything that was going on. And I look at how technology empowers our lives, how it's empowering and optimizing business, and therefore bringing about better experiences in general. It really provides to me a deep sense of optimism about what is coming. And coming off of CES last week, that optimism has only grown. It's grown because I see the potential of where Ben is headed and the massive momentum we have and the growth, where brands are headed, and that they're embracing and adopting AI as well, both internally for their own business processes, but then also enhancing and increasing the experiences for the consumers. It's hard to go to bed at night and easy to wake up every day. I kind of call it the reverse puppy syndrome. It's just every day I wake up super excited, and it's really hard to shut off the mind at night.
Man, that's so exciting, and I love the term, number one, techno optimist, and I love where it's going, because I feel like a lot of people do focus on what they consider perceived bad things, in terms of technology and what it's going to bring and what it does. I feel like that gets a lot of the play, but those stories, like you mentioned, I think those happen just as frequent, like where people connect, people have another, I see it all the time too, and in my personal life, I'm thinking about like my mom. She lives on the other side of the country, so like through Facebook, through FaceTime, through all these other things. We get to still connect and have that relationship, and we don't have to lose that. Where once upon a time, that would be relegated to what, like Thanksgiving, maybe Christmas, maybe this, maybe you miss one, then you miss a year, right? So now all these other things in this connectivity, to me, does make it very optimistic. I'm very optimistic on it all, and I'm just saying, well, I can't wait till I have the little. I want the. Was it at CES? I want the little 3D hologram like thing on my computer. I just want to hit the button, boop, there goes whoever I'm talking to popping up. I'm sure you saw some awesome things like that.
Oh, yes. I mean, and for me, I saw great training tools to teach. I have a 4-year-old and 2-year-old daughter, to teach them STEM and to teach them coding by the age of 8, right? So that way they can get these skill sets. And because I think about, I had an econ professor that said, I almost feel bad teaching you guys this stuff. And I'm thinking, well, why? And he answered, he's like, because by the time you hit the labor force, it's going to be obsolete. And I'm like, well, then why am I paying for this? It'd be like, you buy a car, and by the way, by the time you get home, it's not going to work. Okay, well, then why am I doing this? And however, I do want to just share a personal thing that this year I wanted to commit to, and it might be a good dovetail into kind of the personal side of things. It's with all the technology and as great as it is, because as you were mentioning, my mother is visiting us this week, and this morning at breakfast, while eating breakfast with us, she was also FaceTiming my brother in Colorado. And so there's that hyper sense of connectivity, yet to have that mindfulness of being in the present and then focusing on, dare I say, the old school. I still, this year, we're only 2-3 weeks in, but weekly writing a handwritten letter to my daughters and journaling and focusing on those core essentials, because you look at all technology is built on those actions. It's built to enable and enhance that. Right? You look at the personal computer, well, I can type up a letter or I can write one on pen and script. And so it's really to optimize that, but to still look at either the root of where this technology is and to still use it and to be active with that has been a really good reminder. And that's been something really special. Again, at Ben, it's been a great lesson for me is we're constantly reporting on what's happened. And with AI now, we can predict the results. Yet in the moment of when you experience the content, when it goes live and you're in it, that's what we're all after, right? And so sometimes we might get caught up in the reporting or the predicting, but being grounded in the moment is a really fun reminder. And then being able to capture that maybe in a non-techno way, even though I do something, Adam, is after writing a handwritten letter, I immediately take a picture of it and I email it to myself. So it's captured both physically and digitally. So we live in the best of times, in my opinion.
That's awesome. Well, Steven, I know I could talk to you all day about this stuff, but that's about our time for this episode. If somebody's listening to this and they do want more information about Ben, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, I would say LinkedIn, very easy. Either go Branded Entertainment Network and find me there, or Steven Spencer Elliott.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Steven, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing over at Branded Entertainment Network. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Steven, thanks again for coming on the show.
Oh, appreciate it. Love what you're doing. I'm looking forward to your future episodes.